Greetings from Govardhan, Haribo. I'm just waiting for one more person to come so we can all begin together. But Madhavatiti Bhakati Janati, the days of Lord Hari give birth to devotion. So we had a nice Ekadasi, and Savyasachi with a little fun that Yudhishthira Prabhu is one person has helped him with. He organizes little programs with the locals to make. So we went to Haridev today, and it was Ekadasi. And it's the deity where Lord Chaitanya would go every day. When you go to Govardhan Prikram, you're actually supposed to begin there. And it was so nice about so many garlands. I don't know why they had all these balloons. We didn't do it, but they were decorated. And Ekadasi sweets, and then fantastic kirtan. Fantastic kirtan for 3 hours. But when you're having a good time, time flies. So I was surprised. We're just meditating on the kirtan. That was it. Let me get the person who's supposed to come. So I don't want to speak to two voices. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So Satya, till you came, I was telling the audience about the program you organized at Haridev. It was so, right? Chanting, so absorbed in chanting, and watching the Brijbasis, the local people, kind of come, right, to worship the deity with their swabhavika bhakti. When you go to these temples, and you see the people that actually, in the bazaar, you meet visitors, people, but you go to the temples, you see the people that have this natural bhakti, and they come in, they ring the bell, and it's an ancient, old, huge temple, stone. Deities were absolutely beautiful. And this was Prabhupada's mercy. Before Prabhupada came, all the deities in Vrindavan, their dress was in tatters, really. And then Prabhupada came with, how Radhasham Sundari, different outfits. It's a beautiful outfit, decoration. I saw they had new glass doors. And so it was really good. So now we're going to the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, and I'll just have to find where we're at. 1 second. Sorry about this little, okay. I just have to find the place where we're at. Give me a second. We may have done this, but then we'll go quick and come up to where we are. So reading from Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, chapter 2, text 3. No, book 2, chapter 3, text 93. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasanti tapo-loke prabhuṁ nārāyaṇaṁ vinā. Anāthānām kṣemaṁ vahantas tan-nivāsinām. They live on Tapoloka, where they give reassurance and security to the residents who at times feel as if helpless in the absence of their Lord Nārayaṇa. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Taksuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasade Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, my habit is to go way, way back and bring everything in context, but I don't so much have to do that now because I see the names, you've all practically been here. So we can let's see. We know Gop Kumar's journey. We know that he's the qualities of a sadhaka. And we know that the most important thing is faith and simplicity. Faith, experience in mantra and guru. That's our goal, because you don't move forward without faith. This concept that faith is I believe or I don't believe, that's not Shraddha. Shraddha is the depth of your conviction. You can say, I have faith, but then you have faith in other things. You have faith in social media. You have faith in this. You have faith in that. That's your trust where your happiness lies. But real faith is when you really have that deep experience and faith that this is the goal, right? And sometimes I speak to the audience like such a being here, right? Living here, chanting it, going today, chanting for 3 hours, seeing the deity, doing service. It reinforces, because if the experience is not renewed, it recedes gradually. It's amazing. I've noticed this. It's amazing how the memory recedes and forgets the experience. So it has to be renewed. That's why we need to practice daily, really. And that experience, yeah, I'm so enlivened from today and Ekadasi and and the holy name and chanting here. I was chanting in Hari Dev, just like, strengthen my faith, make this my sole objective in life so that I move towards the goal and avoid those things that are anartha, artha, value, have no value. That doesn't mean renunciation, because sometimes some of our attachments at a certain stage have value to satisfy and make us peaceful for the higher goal. So anyway, and this system, I think, when Prabhupada started the Bhagavatam class, everybody had to be trained, and you had a different speaker every day, and that's nice. But when you hear regularly from the same person, there are also advantages to that. Because you know what you're getting, you've chosen that person, you have faith in that person, and he can build on the frame of reference and context he gave you. Like when I'm starting now, if I didn't know you and every day was a different class, and now I give class on Tapoloka, I'm not on Tapoloka, but on the subject of Tapoloka. If I give the class on the subject of Tapoloka, I give Tapoloka, Bhagavatam, without the context and what the students know already and have the frame of you can build. And that's specifically what a teacher does. A teacher speaks through the frame of reference of the audience to increase that frame of reference. And that's why we become indebted to our teachers. because they bring us to a higher level of experience. And then from that, they can even bring us further. So I'll just go back a little. Gop Kumar, he's shooting through the universe. He met his guru again. He instructed him more on the mantra. And he was now able to just go through all the planets that he was going through quickly, slowly. He went through those planets again in the universe. He wound up in Mahakalapur, where the living entities who want to serve God as a particle of his effulgence go. And it's very alluring, and he almost got caught. But his mantra, his faith pulls us on. I always tell the story because both my audience is connected to Bṛhad Prabhu today. So yeah, Satya knows him since she was like 2 years old every year. So he's also a grandfather figure. Maybe now a great grandfather figure. He's got so old. But I always tell the story that, we were serving in the Gurukul building, we were in our 50s, we're sharing a bathroom that doesn't even have separate stalls, right? It's like, maybe separate toilet stalls, but not separate shower stalls. There's no heat. And we're in the morning and we're next to each other. And we're just wearing a gumsha over our shoulders and brushing our teeth, right? And I thought, I told this before, I thought, Bṛhad could have been like a top professor someplace. I would have been a New York lawyer, and here we are. This is at the age of 50. This is what we're doing. But why? Faith. This is part of us achieving our goal. And that goal is so deep, we'll make any sacrifice for that goal. So Gop Kumar, that simplicity, he didn't complicate himself in his life. He wasn't so distracted. He didn't have knowledge. He wasn't that educated, but he had that. And that carried him through. And he was saved. And then Lord Shiva came, or the associates of Lord Shiva. There's also this concept here of this interplanetary preaching that goes on. The four Kumaras, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and all for devotion. That's what great souls do. But Bṛhad, because people, he said, to preach, you have to have an experience of Krishna consciousness, because then you'll have compassion what people are missing. Unless you have some taste, you won't have that compassion what people are missing. And in fact, when Satsvarup Maharaj and Srila Maharaj took sannyas, and then when I took sannyas from Satsvarup Maharaj, and he told what Prabhupada told them, he said, the main thing is sannyas, don't go to someone's house, a rich man's house, and think I could have had that. Yeah, that faith to carry. Anyway, he sees Lord Shiva, and then we have our kind of second theme, that he has his Madan Gopal, but he doesn't exactly know Madan Gopal's position. He hasn't met him externally. He sees him in his mantra. So what happens is, you're taking notes, right? Okay, good. Okay. What happens is, he can't figure out if like Madan Gopal's like an expansion of Lord Shiva, but then he doesn't see the sweetness in him. And then he becomes very attracted. And I made that point also. If you see your loved one in a situation or environment where they can't manifest their relationship with you, and the example is a high court judge, the little child goes into the courtroom, it's their father and they love their father. but the demands of the environment are such that the father can't manifest. So the son will be happy, but not completely. And that's what happens to Gop Kumar in every place. He's ecstatic. And there is actually some reciprocation. Like the father may see the son and say, oh, nice to see you, order in the court. So he's not sad. He wants, and you'll see this force of prema, and the three qualities. You want to be with the person you love. You want to have some acknowledgement of relationship with the person you love, and you want to serve the person you love. So we see that with Gop Kumar. So he gets drawn. It is his Lord, but in a different manifestation. And then Lord Shiva. Then what happens? And we're getting to the point. Then all of a sudden he sees Lord Shiva. And he's thinking, Lord Shiva may be my Lord manifest in a different way. And he's feeling, how can you not feel ecstasy in that regard? But then all of a sudden, these other people come and Lord Shiva is like worshiping them, and Lord Shiva's in ecstasy. And then Lord Shiva starts to dance in ecstasy, and he's experiencing sattvika bhavs. The ecstasy is so great that there's involuntary reactions of crying and laugh, and he's dancing. And then his wife, who's sitting on his lap, she picks up on his mind, and she begins to clap or something, and Nandishvara, and there's a huge kirtan. And then with them are the four Kumaras. And he's so attracted to the four Kumaras that he'll die in frustration. Again, prema, if they don't acknowledge him. Then he becomes overwhelmed with humility. I'm not even qualified to serve them. And we made this point about Gop Kumar. Look, I'll use Tamal Krishnamurti's language. No, he was no slouch. I heard him say that about one great acharya. He was no slouch. Gop Kumar was no slouch. Gop Kumar was the king of Puri. Gop Kumar was Lord Brahma. He was Indra, even though he maintained his simplicity. But the natural humility that comes when you're with Krishna, and the mantra is with Krishna. Sabyasachi was explaining to me today, after the kirtan, that concept when you're with Krishna, with that mantra, you're with Krishna. That's real humility. When you see and acknowledge authority and greatness and sweetness so higher than you can't think, and it creates a consciousness of just wanting to serve. So when he sees the four Kumaras, I'm nothing. If I can serve them, that would be the goal of my life, but I'm not qualified. And then he's dying in frustration. But Parvati, or I forgot what they call her here, but Goddess Lakshmi, she kind of, when there's really good relationship, you kind of know what the other person wants. You're already so trained to see how their face expresses their desires. If you really have a tight relationship with someone, you know how their face expresses the face is the index of the mind. It's actually a science. So people actually can read minds if they may have that propensity. What to speak on an advanced level. So she knows, and this Gop Kumar, it just shows you when you're simple and you have faith and you're not envious, you become dear to everyone. Dira, dira, chana priyo, priyakaro, nirmatsaro, pujito. The 6 Goswamis were dear to the gentle and the gentle and ruffians, nirmatsur and worshipable, nirmatsur. They didn't have no hate. They didn't have any envy. You see a person like that, they just win your heart. There's people like that, you just win your heart when you see they're free from envy. They have that attitude. So Gop Kumar, evidently they notice him, the humble person who's not pushing his way to the front, who doesn't have that sense of entitlement. Tranada pi sunichena, torora pi sahishnina, amanina, madina kirtaniya sadahari. That person who is tolerant. This is our 4 process of praying. This is why Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, when he went to Radha Kund and said, "Do you have a Siddha mantra?" They challenged him. He said, "Yes, Trinada Pi Sunichena." What? 4-fold process: tolerance, humility, respect, and chanting the name always. That was given to the Prayojanacharya, Raghunath Das Goswami. And you have to have all 4. That's what we were talking about before. Without humility, meaning Yasya deve para bhaktir tata deve tata guru. One who has implicit faith in the spiritual master and the supreme Lord. The imports of the Vedas are revealed. And I heard a commentary on this. Why the imports of the Vedas revealed? Because the import of the Vedas, the unifying principle of the Vedas, is to become free from false ego, the sense of superiority, and from that, desire to control and enjoy. So what the commentators say, unless you have an experience of that, by giving up the false ego and surrendering to Guru and Krishna and having experience of that, you won't be able to see that. Just like a young girl that's 5 years old, she won't pick up romance in a romance movie. She doesn't have experience of it. So that experience. So anyway, Gop Kumar, so Ganesh begins to explain about the 4 Kumaras. That began a little bit before. They cherish only devotional service. They travel as they please, spreading pure devotion everywhere. They save the devotees from all fears, even at the time of death. There's 2 doubts that we have almost up until death. No, there's 2 doubts we have until we achieve a certain level of perfection. Lingering. Is it true? Can I attain it? Is it true? Can I attain it? So what is the fear, even at death? It's not of death. It's of the obstacles to achieving perfection. And that's what the 4 Kumaras save the devotees from fear, about the obstacles, because they give the people the faith and the confidence how to overcome them. And if these devotees have but once had even a reflection of the Lord's name on the tip of their tongue or the path of their, in other words, they savor from all fear. If even once, Jiva Gray, the verse is said, Jiva Gray, Jiva Agre, on the tip of the tongue once. Aho bataswa pachato guriyan yajiva gray vartate nama tubhyam. Oh, how wonderful. Aho bataswa pachat, even a dog eater. Aho bataswa pachato guriyan, glorious. Yajiva gray vartate. If he's chanting Jiva gray, nama tubhyam. Then so much Sukriti was there before. We can't imagine the mercy of Krishna to bring us to the lotus feet of Prabhupada. we can't imagine that mercy. Whatever difficulties and troubles along the way, we can't imagine that mercy. And then to bring us to the Dham, at the foot of Govardhan, sitting in Haridev on a codicy with such beautiful kirtaneers. We were flying. Anyway, even though Vaishnavas have nothing to fear from anything material, they fear obstructions to their bhakti. The Vaikuntha-vasis always endeavor to help Vaishnavas everywhere overcome impediments to devotional service. Are you tired? Would you rather sit on a chair? Because sometimes you may be sick or something. But if you do, there's chairs, okay? There's, to protect anyone who has at least once chanted, yeah, because you were sick for a few days, just get a chair. It's easier for you. Oh, okay. That'll be, okay. It's like a half compromise. Okay. Okay. They protect anyone who has at least chanted or heard the holy name of the Lord, or even, shut the door, or even a shadow of the name uttered neglectfully or jest or contempt or pain, namabas. Okay, and then it explains, and these four brothers, the best of lifelong celibates, Naishtaka Uttama, what is that like? The Naishtaka Uttama, the Uttama, the best, are the Supreme Lord's incarnations of devotees, and they wander lokanam hitartam, the value of benefit for the world. Lokanam hitakarano tribhuvane manyasharanyakra, the six Goswamis, right? Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipano Sadharma Sanstapako. Lokanam, of all the people, hitakarano, they do good. Manyasharanyakra, and they're worthy taking shelter of. So, and then today's verse, they live on Tapoloka, where they give reassurance and security to the residents who sometimes feel helpless in the absence of the Lord Nārāyaṇa. So this experience of Sakshat Darshan, of God, and you can imagine if prema is the energy between two people, and that's the essence of the Ladini Shakti, the pleasure potency. Can you imagine at the level of Tapoloka, in your austerities, seeing God directly? And then what it's like? What it's like? I'll tell you what it's like. It's like you're waiting all year for the Supreme Personality of rice. There's an Iranian disciple of mine. She came and cooked. The rice was so fragrant. It's like incense. She brought it. And all, so I couldn't believe, what is this preparation? But imagine if I took a spoonful and then it was gone. You're tasting God and then it's gone. Of course, there's no duality because God is there in our devotion. Prakat, uppercut, difference. So anyway, he goes there to satisfy them, those devotees. They need, and he teaches them the yoga, and he speaks about God, engages them in congregational chanting, and so now we'll go on. Gadva samprapti vaikunte sarvakarshaka sadgunan bhagavantam taralokya mokshananda vidam vinā nirvarananda purena samyogyatmanam agata bhavanti bhakta sangatya hare bhaktya maha rasam. Is that something? Okay. These brothers have just gone to Vaikuntha and see the Supreme Lord, whose transcendental qualities are all attractive. They filled themselves with a timeless flood of ecstasy that ridicules the bliss of liberation. Even at Baba Bhakti, one of the qualities of Baba Bhakti, moksha laguda krit. Moksha, lagu means small, krit, to make small. And it's described, there's no comparison between material pleasure and liberation. But if you multiply the happiness of liberation by infinity, the number is given, it won't equal a drop of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the ocean of the nectar of devotion. And why not? If you are sharing in God's pleasure, what can be the limit of that pleasure? And the nature of it always has to be increasing. And they drank the sublime nectar of pure devotion to Lord Hari in the company of his devotees. Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta rasa. It tells you to drink the Bhagavatam. It's such a visceral conception. The most absorbing thing, sometimes it seems like we're eating food. We're drinking nectar. I remember Vrindavan when I discovered this drink, tandai, crushed almonds and milk and tandai, nectar. So bibita, drinking, the Sanga, the association of Hari Bhaktya, drinking the association of Hari Bhaktya, Maharasam. It's Maharasam. See, faith, right? When you're there with the devotees, your friends, and Gaur Krishna, Sabyasachi, when you're there doing kirtan with them, joining, then it's bibita, sangha. Even if the kirtan finishes, right? Bibita, bhakta, sangata, in the association, bibita, drinking, hare bhaktya, the maharasa. There's a taste because the prema also flows between devotees, between the devotee and God and between the devotees. So they're traveling and they saw God and they're self-satisfied atmaramas, but atmaramas tamunayo nigradant upkrame korvantoit. They're self-satisfied, but they're still, when you hear the qualities of God and that ecstasy, and they did kirtan with the devotees of Vaikuntha, and they enjoyed the wonderful nectar of Bhakti Ras. So the four Kamaras come to Vaikuntha, and they have kirtan with them. Nitya parichina mahasukantya Krishnavatas tadrisha vaibhavasya sakshadrama anata padara vinda krita barajasra vibhushitasya taprema bhaktai sulabhasya bhaktum vaikunthalokasya param kimishe advaita durvasanayama muksha vridhamanam yapi durlabhasya. What more can I say about Vaikuntha-loka? With its opulences, it displays the final limit of eternal, unlimited joy. It is blessed abundantly by the ever-visible pastimes of the lotus feet of the Lord, the husband of the goddess of fortune. The Lord's loving devotees easily gain that Vaikuntha, but persons with minds tarnished by the blunder of complete oneness and the yearning for liberation can hardly hope to achieve it even in their dreams. So, there's going to be these descriptions, and I'm studying with Nārāyaṇaṁ Swami. We're in the next chapter where they're in Vaikuntha. And it's this whole Lakshmi Tattva. And you kind of realize that Krishna doesn't just mean Krishna. Krishna means Krishna and Radha. Because you can't take away the Shakti from God. Narayan say, without Radha, Krishna is just Brahman. It's a flower without fragrance, a flower without color, a flower without form. So it's glorifying Lakshmi that you can't even imagine. We were mind blown reading. She's creating all the varieties. It goes on, any variety for Krishna's pleasure of this and the bhaktas and devotion. But we found out, why is it doing this? The reason it's doing this is because the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta is aim is to convince us of Goloka Mahatmyam, the glories of Goloka and the glories of Srimati Radharani. So why is it describing Lakshmi like this? Just to humble you that when you come to Sri Radha, it's inconceivable. Lakshmi is inconceivable. Mahalakshmi, it's inconceivable when you read her glories. But she's in Lakshmi Van performing austerity. She can't get into the rasa dance. So what to speak of Srimati Radharani? That's the point. The whole Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Krishna is the best, Srimati Radharani is the best. But that's superlative. It's a comparison. So you have to see what it's best to. If you're the best to nothing, what does it mean? We used to watch a cartoon when we're young. Maybe one person or two person listening to this will know, called Top Cat. What? This Iranian girl is in such maya. I can't believe it. She watched Top Cat. It must be reruns of the original, because this is so many years ago.
Classic collection.
What?
Classic collection.
Classic collection of cartoons, right? So Top Cat was an alley cat. And he was in charge of the alley, So it's kind of like, so it's a joke. What is he in charge of? So it's not good enough just to be the top. It's what you're the top of. And Radharani, this is an expansion, Lakshmi. This is just funny though, but when Bhavananda was the GBC, he was a good manager and he was very charismatic, right? And his right hand was named Tapo-moya, and he was from the Sundarban. The Sundarban is the tigers of Sundarban, the delta of the Ganga. And his grandfather was a kirtan guru or something, the Gaudiya Math or something. Passionate guy. He used to call him Top Cat. Top Cat. But anyway, look at this. What more can I say about this? Maha, supreme, aparichina, unbounded, sukha, happiness. The opulence is the final limit of kashta, antya, kashta vata, vaibhasya. It's the final limit of opulence, Vaikuntha. That's it. And it is blessed abundantly by the ever-visible Ram Nata Krida, the Leela of Ram, Bara, the abundance of the Leela of Ram, or Krishna, or by really Narayan, the husband of the goddess of fortune. And we get this easily. But persons who are Advaita, Mumuksha, avidya, infected with with Advaita monism and Mumuksha desire for liberation, their Atmanam, their intelligence, then it's Dulabhasya, it's difficult to achieve. And then in the purport, he says, Ganesh summarizes his glorification of Vaikuntha. He feels he's now set enough since his words are not capable of adequately describing the greatness of Lord Narayan's abode. And then in the commentary, it gives all these verses from Brahma-vaivarta Purana, the Yoga Vashishta, Ramayana, another Purana. It says an ignorant, half-awake person who likes to say everything is Brahman, entanglement in a network of terrible hells. A person full of attachment for sense gratification who likes to say, I am Brahman, will burn in hell for billions of kalpas. A person stuck in worldly enjoyment who says, I am Brahman, has fallen from Vedic duties and from Brahman realization. He should be rejected like an outcast. But hermeneutics is very interesting, how you understand things. Because you'll see in Prabhupada's teachings contradictory verses. Because one reason is the language of an acharya is sometimes called, Rabindra Swarup explained, context relevance. He's speaking in a particular context, but grammatically, he's speaking generically. All my devotees are pure devotees. Prabhupada said that. But there's a context. The context is someone was challenging the legitimacy of his disciples, and they were surrendered and dedicated to him. But the Western mind, and this gets problems with a lot of the issues you have, because people pick one statement as absolute, not understanding. Prabhupada said the exact opposite, and the way to reconcile it is find out what Prabhupada is referring to. He's referring to a specific thing. All my devotees are pure devotees. But there's a context to it. So here also, these verses are very heavy. Okay. Yadyasyamat pita samyak karanasyanta tatvaya shrosyate mahimatasya gatvachanu bhavishyate. If you receive the full mercy of my Father, you will hear the glories of Vaikuntha and go there to see them for yourself. So Ganesh says, his father's Lord Shiva, rather than me explain more, you got to go see for yourself. We can say, you can tell your friends in Iran, oh, Govardhan, this, that. How much can you say, right? But if you get them some here, right? And they meet Sachinandana Swami, they meet Purijan, they meet Jagatarini, they go on Parikram, they go in the kirtans with your friends, Gaur Krishna and these other people. Then, so Ganesh says, okay, I'm explaining it like to the nth degree. I'm using so much language, but still it does not do justification. So he said, you get the mercy of my Father. Receiving the mercy of Lord Shiva results not in attaining Shiva Loka, but in reaching Vaikuntha to serve Lord Vishnu in pure devotional service. So we also can worship Lord Shiva. That second offense I told you, again, to consider the names of the demigods like Lord Shiva equal or independent. Right there, it's a contradiction. Because equal, it means the same in its offense, or independent means different and it's the offense. So, but it is both. He is equal. Yogurt is equal to milk, but it's different. So anyway, I don't think that's your phone. I think that may be anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, we'll do a few more verses. Good, I can see the listening. That's great. Teacher needs the audience. I have an audience today. They're just like, they're listening, and you tasting. You could see in their faces that they're enjoying it. And the audience. That's why if you want to leave on your cameras, I like that too, because then I can see the audience. So we get in that habit, not to. We don't, everybody sees us. We want privacy, but I have an audience here, and they're like, yes, yes. Sigo par uvacha brahmanstat praptaya jata mahalala sayabrisham ahim chintar nuvapara bangarange panartita. Sri Kumar said, "O Brahmin, I quickly became ardent to reach that place, and that feeling made me dance wildly on a stage made of waves of the vast ocean of anxiety." Chintarnava, the ocean of anxiety. But what was his anxiety? Whether I can achieve it. So he was dancing in ecstasy, the thoughts of going to this place. But emotions are complicated. They're sometimes mixed, and we see that. The gopis have the most intense suffering and the highest bliss at the same time, because their suffering is separation from Krishna, which is the highest form of devotion, which is the highest bliss. And therefore, the acharyas constantly say, don't try to understand this by your logic. Faithfully hear, and then you'll get realization. And you'll get a little realization. You'll get a little realization of separation from Krishna and the devotion that it increases in the heart. So you can feel both. Vichara jatata swasya sambhavya tarayogyatam parudam shoka vegena mohan prapya patam shanat. From the many thoughts flashing through my mind, I concluded I was unfit to go. This Gop Kumar, he doesn't have a sense of entitlement at all. And therefore, he feels everything he gets is extreme mercy. Once you have some sense of entitlement, there's no bhakti, because there's not kirtaniya siddhahari. Because you're not feeling mercy, then how can you feel love? If God's giving you mercy and you feel you deserve, what kind of love will you feel for God, and what kind of love will you feel for the holy name? Therefore, Trinada pi sanichena torora pi sahishnana amanina mananena kirtaniya siddhahari. When you're humble and tolerant and respectful, you feel gratitude, you feel mercy, and therefore you feel love for God, and therefore you feel love for his name, and you can chant always. So we can see Gop Kumar's qualification. He has no sense of entitlement. I'm a Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, I was the king of Mathura or Jagannath Puri, and I was this, and the MA, I got MA, PhD, this. I'll just tell you a kind of an interesting, I love it. It's a Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta story. When I was running the Gurukul, I was in many court cases, because we had shops that we rented out for nothing, and then we wanted them out to go to courts. And Prabhupada, I think someone told me there were so many lies spoken in the courts of Mathura that they hang in the air as sinful actions and fall on the participants. And it's really good, because you go to this whole field and there's no like offices, there's these little shacks, tents, open tents where lawyers are sitting. So I went to this case, and the whole case depended on my accountant. And my accountant was like a Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. And he's the one who Prabhupada appeared to to tell him that he wants 24-hour kirtan in the temple, and who went to Ayendra, who picked up the order. The whole 20 was this accountant. So, so what you do in the court is like, there's like, the judge sits here, and then there's like this wood railing, and the two lawyers sit on the other side, and who's being questioned comes in front of the judge. Where in America, sometimes, they sit on the side. So my funky Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta accountant comes, right? And the lawyer starts to cross-examine him. He begins to cross-examine him. So, because the whole thing will be the testimony of my accountant. So how does he discredit him? He asks him, what degree do you have? Right? Do you have like a CPA, certified public accountant? What degree do you have that we're going to accept your numbers? And the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta accountant says, I'm a little confused. Do you mind if I ask the lawyer a question? Now, this lawyer, and I knew this lawyer, he was the top lawyer, and he had studied in England. And so he said, well, I'm a barrister of law, and I have my MA and PhD from Allahabad University. I have my LLB from Oxford. And he starts listing all his degrees, right? And then the judge said, well, look, okay, you got it. Now answer your question. Now answer his question. And then, so the lawyer asked him, what degree do you have? He says, I have 2 more than you. Just such a Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta answer. I have 2 more than you. And we won the case. Maha dayalunadena para dukasahishnuna vaishnavaika priyanaham utapya vasyabasitam. Maha dayalanu, Maha dayaluna, the most merciful. It sounds like Dayenu. There's a Yiddish word. There's a famous song. So the most merciful. Okay, let's see what it says. The most merciful of great souls, the one best friend of the Vaishnavas, Lord Shiva, who cannot tolerate the distress of others, picked me up and spoke to console me. Maha, the most merciful, Lord Shiva, Paraduka, the distress of others, who cannot tolerate the distress of others, picked me up and spoke to console me. Wow, I really like this point. That Vaishnavas are considerate of others. Lord Chaitanya would try not to cry in public to disturb his disciples. He'd wait to the night when he was in the Gambhira. So Vaishnavas are considerate of others. It's such an important point. And these little things affect our consciousness. Sabyasachi, I went with him last year to Barsana, and we stayed overnight, and we attended Vinod Baba's kirtan throughout the night, 6-hour kirtan. So it was Ekadasi, and I did Nirjala Ekadasi, so we were talking. And he gave an example that I really liked. He said, the mind is like an instrument that's meant to offer love to God. If you use that instrument for hate for others, that same instrument has to be cleansed before you use it for God. He gives an example. If you're cooking, right, and you're making dal, then you can't use that pot for sweet rice until you clean it. So that's the essence, that we really have to be, real sadhakas are very careful with their behaviors. And when they talk to me, they really don't like to hear the news and go on the internet, because their consciousness is for God. It's very advanced in the modern age, but they're really protective of their consciousness, because that same instrument is now going to be used to serve for Krishna. So look how considerate Lord Shiva is. He sees that this person, Paraduka Duki, that famous verse, glorifying Sanatana Goswami, Vairagya Yug Bhakti Rasampiyatnai, Apaya Mamana Vipsamandam, Kripambariya Paraduka Duki, Sanatanas Tam Prabhyasami, Raghunath, glorifying Sanatan. Vairagya Yug Bhakti Rasam, this Bhakti, Vairagya Yug, enriched as a result with renunciation from those things that have no value to Krishna. Vairagya Yug Bhakti Rasam Priyatnai, Apaya Mamana Vipsamandam. I was not attached to this bhakti enriched with renunciation from this world. But talking to Sanatana Goswami Raghunatha, but you forced me to taste it. Therefore, although you have no suffering, you suffer for others. Then I take shelter of you. No suffering, but suffering for others. And Prabhupada, when Keshav Maharaj disappeared, 1968, and word came to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, send him this poem. And Prabhupada replaced Sanatanas with Keshava. So Prabhupada said, I wrote this poem. Vairagya Yug Bhakti, or send this poem. Vairagya Yug Bhakti Rasampiyatnaya Payamam Vipsa Kripambariya Paraduka Dukis Keshavas Tvam Prabhumastriyami. Because he came and told Prabhupada to take sannyas. Prabhupada didn't want to take sannyas. He didn't want that, because Prabhupada in the Gaudiya Math, no shoes, they have to offer their medicine, So Prabhupada, sannyas, he wasn't going to take sannyas. But Keshav Maharaj came with Nārayaṇa Maharaj and this other Vaishnava to tell Prabhupada to take sannyas. So what Prabhupada said in the Leela to not have to take it, Prabhupada said, well, I'll take it if he takes it. And the person was 93 years old, and he just came to the mutt to kind of leave his body, not to be like sannyas. So Keshav Maharaj said, okay, you take sannyas, I'll give him sannyas. Okay. We had a nice session today, and let me just look at our group today. Wow, such a nice group today. I think Jamuna Jaya probably already left. Brahmatirtha, would you like to say something here?
No, just greetings. I love listening to you, and today I didn't have a meeting, so it was wonderful. We should talk a little later about the other matters.
Are you free in the next hour and a half at all?
Yeah.
I'll call you in about 20 minutes, if that's okay.
I love it.
Okay. I saw that you, Kauntiya, and
Yeah.
that was a very good one. At that point I was making today about hermeneutics came from that.
Oh, excellent. And also there's another one by Madan Gopal and Damodar that's superb. I was just listening this morning.
Which Damodar?
The one from Australia, maybe, who does Vedic Inquirer. I usually disagree with him, I often disagree, but this interview we had with Don Gopal was really good on Vaishnavis.
Okay, interesting. But the thing is, someone told me you had COVID.
I do have COVID.
So at the beginning of the class, it seemed like you were sleeping.
I might have been. I go in and out.
You're going, okay, I'll talk to you in 20 minutes.
Yeah, I do fade in and out. I mean, kind of getting over COVID, not
Yeah, I
serious,
can
but
see.
I fade in and out quite a bit.
But you did well anyway. When they called
I
on
tried.
you were alive.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gail, you have a question? You have a question?
No, it was just a comment, Maharaj. I mean, by now, I've heard the courtroom case story so many times, but I laugh out loud every time because
Which
just
story?
the courtroom case,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, yeah, because the childlike simplicity of the person's answer. I have two more. I have two more than
And you have
you.
to see what he had. He had a walrus mustache, and he's wearing a dhoti, and he had like this wool orange cap that was funky, and he carried a little cloth bag, and when he said that, I have two more than you, he went,
Yeah. So sweet. So sweet.
okay. Anyone else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hey, great to see you.
Thanks so much for the class.
Okay.
You bring to mind Benny and Choo Choo. What was that, Officer Dibble? Thank you.
Well, wow, our samskar is Kalachandri. But I use them in Krishna's service.
Yes.
Top cat. Okay, thanks. Nice
Thank you.
to see you.
Hare Krishna.
Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. It's Govinda.
And Bṛhad, thank you for class.
Thank you for class.
3 weeks, I'll be back. I'm
Yeah,
coming
can't
back
wait.
on a Monday. Anybody else say hello?
See you soon.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Krishna-katha. Thank you very much for the class. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Sadat, I like that you keep your screen on so I can see some reaction to the class. That's nice.
Thank you
I'll
so
see
much
you in
for
a
the
week.
class, Maharaj. Yes,
I'll
can't
see-
wait.
Okay.
Maharaj,
Yudhisthira, how you go?
my-
Yeah. Okay,
Hare
great.
Krishna,
As
Hare
always.
Krishna, Gurudev.
Yeah,
Hare
so
Krishna.
you,
Yeah.
Harbo,
And
Yudhisthira.
I just,
Yeah,
may I just say something to the group?
yeah.
Yeah. I have my own god brothers and god sisters being a disciple of Tamal Krishna Goswami. But this family is so wonderful. And I do feel a part of it. So thank you.
You're definitely a part of it. You're part of our Guru Bhakta Seva. This is Satya, one of the people that you help, so she could say hello to you now. She's in there. That's Yudhisthira. He's the one that helps you.
Please accept my humble obeisances. I will.
Satya, what do you think of your experience here in the Dham?
It's been blissful. It's been a once in a lifetime experience every time.
And actually speaking, she couldn't get out because of the war.
It's a
So,
blessing.
yeah, well, we called her and we said, well, come back to the Govardhan Bhakta Seva ashram and here's your room and stay here. And then her parents called her and told her, don't, because she was going to Dubai, but that also was cut up. And then they said to her, don't go anywhere in the Mideast. Don't go anywhere in the Mideast. So somehow or other, by Hari Dev's mercy, she's doing kirtan here in the Dham. But thank you, Yudhisthira, and we'll talk more.
Thank you,
And,
Mars.
it's great. Great.
Yeah.
Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for class.
Malati, Haribo, thank you. Good. Okay. John.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Surya Radhika here.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Hi, Sisa. I miss you.
They're both from Iran.
Nice to meet you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Nice to meet you, Satya. I've heard a lot about you.
Thank you. Haribo, nice to meet you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Nice to
Thanks
see
for
you.
the
both of
class.
you.
Thank
My
you.
God, has Krishna saved you
Yeah.
from being in both you girls who took the Krishna consciousness? Krishna arranged for you both to get out of the country before all this happened. You can,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember Satyaraj told one story. He went to visit Hayagriva, who was Prabhupada's, the first devotee Prabhupada met in America. And he was dying of cancer, and and it was in his spine, it was painful. And he was lying on his back, and Satyaraj went to see him. And he was walking down the street. He was living in the, his beatniks and whatever in the Lower East Side, and he was walking down the street, and he was very tall because he was from Alabama, so Texas or something. He had a big beard. And Prabhupada was walking the other way, and he looked at Prabhupada and he said, "Are you from India?" And Prabhupada thought he was a Punjabi. And Prabhupada said, Are you from India? And he was an English professor. So Hayagriva was on his back and with his hand folded, and he looked at Satyaraj. He said, "A 70-year-old Bengali gentleman comes to the West to publish his books in English, and who's the first person he meets? An English professor." And then he said, "I was touched by the hand of God." So I think you and Satya were touched by the hand of God.
For sure.
Because you were there, I don't know, each like 25, 30 years or something. And all that time you were there. And now you're not at the right time. And that's also a blessing for your parents, because to have that kind of anxiety, to have their beautiful daughters in that country right now. And no one knows if it's going to turn out better or worse. So we pray for your people. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj.
Anybody? Okay. Anybody else say hello? Okay, I'm going to look down the list of all the people that are coming today. If anybody wants to say hello, they can. But I see you all. Catalina Maya, nice to see you. I'll come to Colombia in April or May. Okay, I'm looking down the list. Okay, thank you all for coming. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bheva chapatiram pavane.